Joe, thank you for joining us so much. I appreciate it.
So good to talk.
Country Music Cruise.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I've been on music cruises before. This will be my first country music cruise, and I'm so excited. So tell people who may not have gone why they should come this year.
It's the music. If you love country music and if you love performance, what a bonus to be on this ship on the ocean and stopping at a few beautiful islands along the way. And, but to eat. I mean, nobody ever starves to death on a cruise ship. I mean, on the country music cruise, you can eat from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night if you want to. And the food is excellent. The rooms are excellent. The view of the ocean going by is just fabulous. But it's the music. I mean, I think people come on these tours. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, there was a big storm. We left out of Fort Lauderdale and couldn't go into Key West for the first stop. So we kept on going all the way to like Cozumel. So we were at sea for 3 days. I mean, I didn't realize I had joined the Navy. But we're at sea now for 3 days. And you know what? None of those people on that boat cared. It was the music. It was the concerts. It was seeing all the groups that they love to hear sing, going to the big shows, the little shows. There's concerts going on all day long, autograph sessions, events, special private parties. You know, like if people sign up for the country music cruise and they put Oaks fan in the keyword, then they get a private party with the Oak Ridge Boys and all kind of goodies and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a music event. And you said you've been on music cruises before. I've never been on one but the country music cruise. And this will be, I think, our 5th one of those. And I know the people are wonderful that go on these cruises. They love the music. They love the shows. The atmosphere of the Caribbean and the beautiful weather and the sunshine is just a big bonus.
And what I've been talking about, I talked to Wade this morning and I talked to Lee Greenwood right before you actually. And we've been talking about what people may not realize is you're on the boat. Like you're there. So you're eating dinner, you're walking around, like everybody is very accessible on this cruise.
Well, when these things first came down to me, I was a little leery of it, to be honest. I didn't want to be trapped on a boat with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of country music fans all bugging you all the time. I really didn't, you know? And it's not like that at all. People give you your space, they wave, they're glad to see you, and you kind of want to stop and chat with these people. It's just the opposite of what I thought it was. I loved every second of the country music cruise, all the Oak Ridge Boys. If you two were talking to Dwayne or William Lee or Richard, they tell you the same thing. A little leery about it at first, but boy, once we got out there, it was fabulous. And the people are sweethearts, man. They're just so nice. And they love the music. And a lot of these people that, you know, go on these cruises, they're a little older because, you know, that's what your cruise crowd is. They're a little bit older. Hell, we're a little bit older. But a lot older. But the thing is, they're such sweet people, all of them. I mean, you know, I'll go eat breakfast in the morning. I'll go by the omelet line and get me an omelet or something and coffee and sit down with a whole table full of fans and talk about, well, we saw you guys in Sheboygan, Wisconsin back in 1987 and blah, blah, blah. And we've been watching you guys since this and that. And they know every song they've come to hear us sing over the years. And it's just a magical thing for them to be able to talk about that experience with an artist. And for the artist, whether it be Lee or Wade or me, I think sitting there and talking to those folks, watching the ocean go by and eating a good omelet's really a lot of fun.
Does it get any better? And good music. And it's such a great lineup this year too. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it is.
It's a really great lineup. So speaking of music, you have your new album coming out, Front Porch Singin', next month. So talk about it. I'm super excited about it, by the way.
Well, it comes out June 11th, and we're very excited about it. I think it's something that we felt we wanted to do and needed to do in the middle of that pandemic. I mean, let's face it, as we all know, everybody in the music industry was shut down. I mean, it didn't matter if you played first string violin for the symphony, if you were a hip hop artist or a country star or a Broadway star, you were told to go home. Your switch has been flipped off. Y'all go home now. No money, no income for all your people, and just sit this thing out and try not to get sick, which was just unbelievable. I mean, it's, you know, I just turned 73 years old. I've never seen nothing like it in my life. I know my parents went through World War II. D-Day's coming up here. My daddy was at D-Day. He landed on D-Day at 19 years old on Utah Beach and fought 50 days across France through the hedgerows until he was hit hard. at St. Lo and won a bunch of medals. He rests in Arlington today. And I know what World War II did to him. And I know what it did to the world and what it did to this country. And I guess this COVID thing has been kind of our World War II. It don't compare to what that was exactly. But as far as like shutting a whole country down and the craziness and people getting sick and dying and then the crazy politics that's gone along with it, it's just been a nightmare. So in the middle of all of that, we decided, man, let's cut an album. And together with our young producer, Dave Cobb, we went in the studio last August to Studio A, downtown Nashville, historic Studio A, where Dave Cobb works. And this will be the fourth album. This is the fourth album that he produced on us. And we wanted to, we've done everything. I mean, we've been around since the earth began to cool. So, I mean, we've done everything. What can we do different? On our Christmas show every year, we've done a Christmas tour for 30 straight years. We have a rocking chair segment. We bring out 4 rocking chairs and we all sit in front of a fireplace and a tree. And everybody tells a little bit of stories about Christmas growing up and we sing in the chairs. Dave Cobb wanted us to cop that attitude on an album. 4 Oak Ridge boys sitting on a front porch. One guy starts to sing, so everybody falls right in and sings with him. And let's keep the voices way out front. Let's do sparse instrumentation. Let's sing some old gospel, some new gospel, some old country, some new country. And we had some songwriters write us some songs that just fit this whole project so well. And then we brought out some of our oldest gospel and some new as well. And we went down there in August during the heat of the pandemic. Socially distanced. We adhered to all of the CDC protocols. And Dave Cobb was our producer, an engineer, 3 musicians, a bass player over in one booth, a percussionist here, Dave Cobb himself out there playing rhythm guitar. He added a few things later, a little piano here and there, and the 4 of us socially distanced, singing songs together. And what it did was it did that. Mm-hmm. It brought us together like this, which music can and does do. And our own singing after being home for 5 straight months, no shows, no nothing, no income, to go down there and see each other every day. It was like a blessing. And I think all of that came out on this album. I think it's magical. I don't think we planned it, but with songs like Love, Light, and Healing and Life is Beautiful and some of the gospel on there, I think we may have inadvertently, and I wrote this in the backliner notes, I think we may have inadvertently recorded the perfect album for the times we're living in. And the Oak Ridge Boys are one of them older established Hall of Fame acts that people look to, families look to. We're starting to crank again. We're starting to get back into shows and the crowds are just on fire. And I think they will be for this album too. In fact, they've released 3 singles already, or 3 songs already. You know how they do it. They release some early. Well, Love, Light, and Healing and Life is Beautiful and Swing Down Chariot, old gospel, spiritual, have been released and the response has been unbelievable. I think this album's going to do really well.
I told my husband, Swing Down Chariot, we were just having a day, like, people have. And I was like, you need to stop and listen to this because it's going to put you in a good mood. That Swing Down Chariot just sounds awesome.
Well, you know how that happened? It was kind of cool. Cobb says, Dave Cobb, our young producer, calls us his crazy uncles. He loves for us to record gospel because in his words, of all the different artists that come through that door at Studio A, and they're everybody from Chris Stapleton to blues bands to everything he produces now. He's the big deal. He says, you guys are the only ones that can come in here, gather around a microphone and sing gospel and sing that harmony. Because that's our heritage, that's our background. That's where we started singing Southern gospel. So he said, give me a song that you guys maybe not have even necessarily ever staged, but you sing it all the time. Say you're getting ready on the bus and you're getting ready for a show and one guy starts to sing the spiritual and everybody joins in, okay? Like I was saying earlier. He says, give me a song like that. We said, how about this? Why don't you swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride? He went, oh my God, that's it, let's do it. And it came out so cool. I even sang the verses, and that's kind of funny because it's a little lower register for me. I'm going, well, Ezekiel went out in the middle of the field. And I don't even normally sing down there. So that was kind of fun for me too. And he wanted me to do it. He wanted my inflection. He didn't care about, where the pitch was. He wanted my inflection on it. And well, I gave him my inflection. And we gave him Swing Down Chariot. And yes, people are loving it. We've put it on stage a couple times already and told that little story about how we recorded it. And then why don't you swing? And we get into that thing with Richard on the bass, swing down, yeah, and people just freaking out over it. So.
What are your plans besides releasing music? What are your touring plans for this year? I'm assuming you guys are back out at it.
We are starting to crank. We've only done so far 4 shows this year, and a few big events too, but just 4 shows. As we're talking, we leave town tomorrow night for Oklahoma. We're in Oklahoma Friday and Saturday. Then next week, all through June, I think we've got about 12 dates booked in June. Now, July's a little lighter, and it always is, but we've got about 5 dates booked in July. But once we get to August through the end of the year is gangbusters. I think we've got 98, I think Dwayne said 92 dates booked from now until the end of the year. And I think anybody would love to trade schedules with us because we're going to be out there singing, man. And we're so excited to get back. Last night, as a for instance, as an encouragement, well, the last couple of weeks, we sang at the Grand Ole Opry last week, 2 weeks ago Friday, and the Grand Ole Opry was packed. Now, we sang at the Opry last July to nobody, kept the Saturday Night Opry alive, by doing the Saturday night thing with nobody there, but on Circle Access TV. We have performed to a partial Grand Ole Opry, where mostly the people are in kind of the balcony and they got masks on, which is really weird because on the stage, when you look up at the balcony, it kind of reminds you of Grey's Anatomy, like in the operating theater when they're all up there in their masks, looking down at like a brain transplant. That's what it felt like looking up there. Ew, it was kind of creepy, actually. But the other night, no masks. The place was packed. Then the next week, I went to a wedding. You know Jeremy Westby?
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy got married.
I knew that.
I went to his wedding. The beautiful old chapel was packed with people. No masks. Everybody hugging. Everybody shaking hands. Last night, we went to Chicago and sang the anthem at the White Sox-Cardinals game. And the reason we went was at the invitation of umpire Joe West, who at 68 years old last night, umpired more games. Last night was the game that broke the record, 5,600 some games as an umpire from age 23 to 68. We've known him 40 years. He's like us. Like I was 25 when I joined the Oak Ridge Boys. I'm 73. So it's like we're like 2 peas in a pod, and he's such a country music fan. In fact, they call him Country Joe West. And so we went up there last night to honor him. Emmylou Harris was there, which I thought was cool. I love Emmylou. But we did the anthem, and see a ballpark full of, I think they were at 80% at the Chicago White Sox. Cheering, yelling, hugging, no masks. Now I know there's an element of people out there, I've already seen them, well, I'm not giving up my mask, I'm staying home. I don't know where that mentality comes from, but they are definitely in the minority from what I'm looking at. Going to Kroger or Publix the other day to do some shopping for my wife. No masks. I'm seeing people's faces. Instead of seeing a mask and dead eyes, now you're seeing smiles and smiling eyes and people greeting one another. How you doing? Hey, that's good. Excuse me. Oh, yes, sir. I just think we're either going to all die in 6 months or we are emerging from this thing. And I believe we're emerging. I think it's time for everybody to get cranking and get this country back on track again. And it's time for us to sing, and we're about to sing.
I love it. Okay, so this isn't what I was going to ask you, but just as an aside, can you go to Publix and not have 100 people stop you?
Here in Hendersonville, Tennessee, I used to call it, when I was younger, the home of the country music superstars, because, you had Barbara Mandrell and Diamond Rio and Johnny Cash and Roy Orbison, everybody was here. I used to say, yeah, come to Hendersonville, Tennessee, where you'll see Johnny Cash buying hairspray at Eckerd's and Tammy Wynette picking cucumbers at Publix. It's not as much that way as it was, but everybody in this town knows us. And you never get anything but kind of like on the ship. People are glad to see you. That they're glad to see you're doing okay. And you're kind of glad to see them too. And everybody's just kind of nice. Nobody really, it ain't that old, oh my God, it's one of the Oak Ridge Boys. No. That was in 82.
Okay, so this is what I really wanted to ask you. You said 25 when you started. You were 25 when you started.
1973, October, I joined the Oak Ridge Boys, 25 years old.
So that's almost my life. I was born in 72. I'm 29, but I was born in 72.
Yeah, I got you.
Could you have imagined then that Oak Ridge Boys would still be what they are today?
No way. No way to have imagined that at all. I had a reflection not too long ago. We talked about the Academy of Country Music Awards. Remember when the awards were a hat? You'd win a hat award. It'd be the ACMs had the hat on top of them. Well, in 1978, we won 2 Academy of Country Music Awards. We were the young hot studs then, you know. And we won Y'all Come Back Saloon, won Album of the Year, and we won Vocal Group of the Year. And I remember back then you didn't have to go through security at an airport. I remember all of us walking through an airport carrying our awards on the plane. So each guy had 2 awards. Our producer, Ron Chansey, had 1 for the album. And we're all walking through the airport with our awards. And I've thought to myself, if you could have went back there and told those guys that in 2021, you'd still be playing, singing, making new music, and everybody would be alive and healthy and blessed. I don't think those guys back then would have believed it, because how could you? How could you foresee something like that? There's so many. I mean, the road of life is a strange road, man, and there's all kind of twists and turns along the way and stuff you have to deal with. And we've all had to deal with different things. Yes, we're old guys now. We all break down just a little bit these days and have to get things fixed. But God has given us good health and the ability, and this is important, to still sing good. See, that's the thing about getting older. Now, I know a lot of old guys that can't sing for nothing. I know some old guys. I remember Ray Price. Seeing Ray Price in his 90s going, "Don't look so sad." I mean, he had that big voice still, right? Well, same with like Tony Bennett. He's like, what, 200 years old? And he still's got that, "I left my heart." You know, he's got it. Well, the Oak Ridge Boys still sing big, all 4 of us. And incredible blessing, because to me, if you're going to go out there on stage and you're going to still carry all that history that we bring to the stage, more than anybody else. This group started in the 40s, the original Oak Ridge Quartet, in the 40s. Going through all kind of changes in the 50s. William Lee Golden joined in 1965. Dwayne Allen in 66. Richard in 72. I'm the new guy. I joined in 73, okay? And to still be performing at that level with our kick-ass band behind us, out there singing big 4-part harmony on hit after hit after hit, throwing in some gospel, wave the flag a little, here's a couple new songs from the new album, and do it all at that level, and then celebrate 40 years of Elvira, for crying out loud. It's just an amazing blessing to still be able to do that. I wouldn't want to do it if we weren't still the Oak Ridge Boys. In this book I'm writing called I See Myself, I mentioned something that a lot of people may not know. But back in the 70s, going into the 80s, when we were touring with Kenny Rogers and then Elvira hit, behind closed doors, we called ourselves the Gristleairs. All gristle all the time, baby. The Oak Ridge Boys are Gristleairs. We're gristle. Okay? I wrote that in the book. Nobody's ever written that before. I don't even think I've ever talked about it to anybody but you right now. And to me, in my heart, when we go out there and we sing and we're putting on a really good show and the audience is responding, I think to myself, we're still the Gristleairs. There's a few years on us, but we're gristle.
So what about this book? What are the plans for this book?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I've got 10 books published. I've written 2 on the Oak Ridge Boys. On the Road with the Oak Ridge Boys came out 3 years ago, which is an inside look at how we do what we do. CMT.com called it the best behind the scenes music book written in the last 20 years. And then I wrote a book called American Journey, which is basically a tabletop book, but I wrote all the dialogue in it. And I wrote a book about my parents back in 93 called G.I. Joe and Lily. It was a bestseller. And it was about the World War II thing I talked about earlier. And how my dad had a stroke at age 39 when a piece of shrapnel stuck in his carotid artery. And he was disabled the rest of his life. And my mom, you know, stuck with him. And so G.I. Joe and Lily was a big deal. And I write some about myself in that book, but not much. Well, publishers have asked me if I'd write an autobiography. Well, you know, there's a part of you that goes, I've written a lot about myself in these books. What is there to write? How did a Philly boy become an Oak Ridge boy? Okay, that's a good question. But I came up with this idea for I See Myself. Remember those blue people in that Avatar movie? Mm-hmm. Remember the big, tall, blue chick? She would say, I see you. I see you. And what she meant was, I really see you. Not just, I see you. I see you. I had a dream one night, and I heard her in the dream, and then I heard myself saying, I see myself. I see myself. Well, that gave me the idea for the book. I see myself being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I see myself on the streets of Philadelphia getting the crap beat out of me. I see myself singing the Coliseum after Coliseum of Full House seats in 1982. I see myself on the Johnny Carson show. I see myself with my mom and dad in Philly. So it's this back and forth kind of thing. And I've got a publisher who published G.I. Joe and Lily, who's liking the book. I mean, I don't have a publishing deal for it yet, but I think it'll come out next year. I really do.
Wow. Well, I will read it. Anything else we need to talk about, Joe?
Now, man, let's see. We got a new album, Front Porch Singing. We're starting to sing. We're celebrating Elvira. We're optimistic and feeling very blessed by the good Lord above that we're emerging from this pandemic and that America is going to get back to being self again, despite those that would like to stay back. I think they're a very slim minority compared to what I'm seeing out there. And I think people are just ready to get cranking. And I know I am. And I can't think of anything else. I even talked about a book. I ain't talking to nobody about that new book because it's not even
Here first. Well, if I don't see you again, which I hope I do, we will be on the cruise, and I'm going to give you one of those big hugs that I love the Joe Bonsall hugs.
I got them.
I know you do. I've had them. I want another one.
I got one for you. Let's hope we're all here next year on the cruise. Because that's another thing that shut down last year was the cruise. The country music cruise went away last year. Then they had the idea to put it off to November. And I guess that didn't work out because we were still in a lot of thick of that thing going on. And so it's kind of back where it usually is, right? At the end of January, beginning of February there, right?
January 15th to the 22nd.
Well, I can't wait. Now, we don't get to enjoy the cruise as much because I got to tell you, they pay us to do this. I mean, we ain't out there for free. And you better make sure that they're going to get their money out of the Oak Ridge boys. We've got to do one thing after another. We have very little time to sit in our room and look at the ocean go by. A lot of times late at night, I can't wait to get back to my room, though, and sit there and just look at the ocean in the dark. And then you see a ship way off in the distance, you know, going the other way. And you think, wow, who's on there? Who's sitting on their deck looking over here?
Right, right.
Maybe it's a parallel universe. Maybe there's another Joe Bonsall on that ship looking over at this Joe Bonsall. Now, that was weird. I'll write another book.
We will look at the ships together. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate this so much.
Thank you, dear. Thanks for everything. Nice tweeting today. I appreciated that. And we'll see you on the boat, I hope, before that.